Scott Talley, coming to you from the worldwide headquarters in Houston, Texas, with my buddy in the far northwest, up in Meridian, Boise, Idaho, Mr. Scott Marker. Scott, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing great, Scott.
Let me talk about your history because it's rich and awesome. Scott is a consummate professional salesperson. Has written a couple of books on sales at this point, right, Scott?
I wrote one by myself, wrote another chapter, another friend's book, and now I'm probably 90 days. I'm going to be publishing my second book on B2B sales.
Awesome. Also does some speaking at the university, so got a great background in sales. And Scott and I came across each other through a franchise broker, if I remember right.
Yep.
And you have bought your franchise for Network in Action when, Scott?
June 2018.
June 2018, and he's been off and running ever since. He had a great start, and then the pandemic hit, and he was able to sustain his membership during that crazy time in those couple of years, and just doing a great job with his group. So we're going to jump in and talk about a number of things, but describe in your own words, sort of what you do and who you are.
I'm just one of those guys that's besides my family, which I married my college sweetheart, which was probably I always say one of the best things happened to me the last couple of years was that. She's like my soulmate. We have adopted 2 children. So my family, besides that, I tell people that I love helping people. That's kind of how I got involved in the Network in Action. Is I just love connecting people, helping people out. That dovetails right into the sales I've been in. Right out of college, I stumbled into. I was running 2 restaurants as assistant general manager of 2 restaurants. I'm on 12 lawns a week, and got out of college. And a couple of customers, husband and wife, said, "You need to be in sales." I said, "Well, bring your bosses in." And sure enough, one of them did, and interviewed me in the restaurant, flew me, and next thing you know, I'm in sales. And they moved me to Portland there for a year, and then Seattle for 2 years, and then I got tired, and they wanted me to move again. So then I moved back to Boise, Idaho, and then got back into sales again.
That's awesome.
I'm a sales junkie, and not in a meaning that a lot of people really like to deep like in golf. You and your daughter are really into golf, Scott. Perfect example. You know a lot about golf. You follow golf. You watch it, and that's all I've ever done with sales. Is I'm obsessed with how it's done and how it's done not properly in a lot of places. So I'm always trying to write ways of how to do things that are more buyer centric. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So Scott does the Network in Action franchise full time, and then he still has plenty of time for his beautiful wife and family and his other extracurricular activities. I was talking earlier about you working with the college to speak at the business classes and also write some books. So that's really cool. Tell me sort of the motivation. Why did you decide to move forward on the Network in Action franchise?
I just got to the point in my life that I wanted to control my own destiny, and they always say, go to work for yourself, but the startups have a terrible failure rate, 90% failure rate. Franchises roughly 85% success rate. So I went, heck, I'm going to go for a franchise that had a proven model. So I think at the time, I was like number 27. So now 4 years later, there's 100 and how many of us? We're in 2 countries.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Yeah,
that's awesome though. But you were the first one started to be off on your own, no brand up there. You had to follow the model, but you
actually I was the first one you did by over the internet.
Yeah,
you didn't fly me in. We just did it all over the net. And your training was great, so it went really good.
Yeah, we trained remotely, and you've done a great job following the model. Scott, why would you say? What is your why?
I'm just trying to make the world a better place. I mean, a lot of people say that, but I really am. I mean, what does that look like? I'm not, like part of my referral groups. I'm always trying to help people out, with of course, give them referrals and stuff, but also other ways. How can one of their kids needs to get a job, so I kind of coach them on how to get a job. And I'm just always looking for ways to help people. If people run into challenges with medical bills, I've been through that before, so I kind of can coach them on some resources to get through that. So it's just that's probably my biggest why is just that. And then I like to take complex complex things and then try to figure them out, which drives some people crazy. But like, for example, trying to get healthcare figured out, trying to get B2B sales figured out. I'm real passionate about, there must be a better way to do this or a better way to figure it out. So that's probably one of the biggest things that keeps pushing me is I'm just constantly coming into new opportunities where someone needs help, and I'm trying to figure out how to. Can't always help them, but I'm always trying to find out a way. I think
that's a theme that runs through our franchise owners, by and large, not all of them certainly, but that's the one theme that comes back over and over and over. But really, you're being very humble, because I'm not sure anyone who does it quite like you. I'll tell anybody that's watching this, Scott is an absolute 100% expert on the failing healthcare system in America. And not to go down this rabbit hole, but you're talking about somebody who's studied this and knows it, has lived it, but really, really can advise you on what the pitfalls are, what to beware of, what to see coming down the road. This is off topic, but Scott is an expert. But it's really on topic because you do that all the time. You're always helping people with that. You don't get paid for that, but you're just helping people.
Yeah, I've helped last 5 years. I've helped over $200,000, at least $200,000 in medical bills I've helped people get rid of. So
not as a company, just as a friend.
No, just as a friend, just because there's just some, they're not always there, but there's just some resources people just don't know to try. And so they just kind of think they're hopeless. And I kind of living it myself, part of the things that, anyway, so yeah, I'm real passionate about that and helping people out with their healthcare challenges.
Awesome. Drips over into your business. What do you believe is the future of networking?
There's a lot of different ways to doing it. Network in Action now is starting to do it online too, also, right? And I'm a big believer. I'm really connected on LinkedIn, and I would say most of my group here in the Treasure Valley, Boise, Idaho metro area, a lot of my members are still want the old-fashioned shake hands, that type of. They just that's super important to them. But going forward, there's going to be more and more people, even older people like myself, that are. I've said this before, and I say it in my book. I can't believe there's how many people that have helped me write my book, and just we've been friends with online on LinkedIn. They're all over the country, even all over the world. And I tell you, we have friendships. Just the other day, I had somebody that reviewed my book beforehand, and he said, something, Scott? He goes, "Isn't this weird? I feel like we've been best friends for like over a year. We've never met each other. And this is the first time we meet each other. It was all through DMs." So the future of networking, I think it's going to be diverse, kind of hybrid. I think you're still going to have the steady and true face-to-face. I think you're going to have some that are just going to go straight, virtual. And then you're going to have mixed routes. Some people are going to mix, part-time, face-to-face, and other parts hybrid. But I think, I tell you, it's not going to go away because, for example, in the B2B world, right now is a perfect example in the B2B world. There's so much noise out there. If you're looking for a SaaS product for your company to help your company out, and let's say they can be thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, some of these things, these packages, right? And you go online, you go on the rating sites and stuff. I can't tell you how many people, we talk about this a lot. You go and ask your friends, right? And it's all through networking, other business associates and stuff. So, and that's the same thing here, face to face. I get people all the time, they'll ask me, "What do you think about, this product or this service or this?" And it'll have nothing to do with the networking group, right? So it's a long way to say, I think it's going to be very active like it is right now. I just think it's going to expand into different platforms, face-to-face, online, hybrid. So
yeah, I agree with you. It's going to allow the world to be even smaller than it already is. So the internet made it smaller with hybrid and virtual networking led by professionals like you. It's going to make the connections even deeper for people. So I totally agree. What do you think? What would you say to a business owner who maybe has never networked and they're used to, page one placement at Google? Why is networking important?
It's because a lot of times it's been there, done that, right? I can't tell you. I have a guy right now. He's a new EOS implementer. I met with him, and he's just a super sharp guy. And he meets with me. And of course, I'm looking to see if he might want to join the group, have him come visit. But he said he's never had somebody give more on lunch. He says, I helped him with a marketing plan. I helped him. And I said, who you're looking for? And I wouldn't have done that for anybody, right? I wouldn't have done that for anybody. But he was a super sharp guy, had a great resume. And so, anyway.
Yeah. So traditional networking has been around for about 35 years or so. And then Network in Action came along, and we have 6 key differences: our monthly meeting instead of weekly, a professional leader instead of a volunteer, state-of-the-art technology, extracurricular. You don't get to just write a check. You got to go through a background check and a business assessment. We let groups cross-pollinate and network with each other. And then obviously we have our famous guaranteed return on investment in writing. What do you think is the key 1 or 2 differentiators for you?
I think one is that you're ran by professionals. I bought into this, right? I have a stake. I tell people this all the time, is that one of our key differences is we're not volunteers, right? And you can have the best volunteers running a group, right? But they have a job, right? They can't commit, right? So it's the same. All the franchise owners I talk to in NIA the same way, is that we're all committed to our groups. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest ones, is that we're all professionals. Every week we have a Monday meeting, that we all get on as a group, and we're all talking about our challenges and how do you attract the best people, and overall always trying to figure out, better ways to be better at leading our groups, So I think that's one of the biggest differences. And then one of the other ones, there's a lot of them, but one of them that I'll just throw out that's I think is funny is I even said on the Monday call, the first time I had my first 2 groups together, I said, we're going to have a bunch of competitors in the room, because category specific, right? So, and you told me, along with the other people, said, it's an abundance mindset we're attracting here, right? And I say to this day, I cannot believe in my groups, a couple months ago, I pointed out that I have 3 attorneys in the group. They're all making fun of each other, and they've all done business with each other. They're all business attorneys. And one of them tried to recruit the other one to work for him. And he said, no. He said, no, right? So then when the guy's tenant moved out, right, he says, hey, you guys are looking to be on the east side of Idaho. You guys should move in here. They come over and they said, something? How about we buy the building from you and you'll be our tenant? And that's what happened. Yeah. And that's all. Oh, and wow. That's all from the luncheon, right? Yeah. So I think it's the caliber of people we bring in, right? Great people, great what they do, and givers, right? I think the caliber of people we bring in, it's an abundance mindset. It's amazing. And even people who's, partial overlaps in competition still can get by that and just see they can help each other out. Yeah. So I think that's one of the biggest.
Well, you're fostering that. So take a little bit of credit. I totally agree with you. It's not always about a referral. Sometimes it's in placement and job placement. It's all, we've seen all kind of things happen here.
I'll give you one other quick example of, right. So I have a banker and a property and casualty company, and the property and casualty company bought an existing bank, right? An existing bank, and they had a line of banks and credit unions wanting to buy it from them. And because of the relationship in the group, they said, nope, Charlie, his bank's going to get it because we have a relationship in NIA with him. And so, and Charlie told me from that, his bank owes me like $2 million from that relationship.
Gratitude.
Yeah. Wow. But because they didn't have to build a bank. They moved in and were a tenant. And in 10 years, they're paying. Anyway, so it's cool that just the type of relationships, referrals are always the key. We really try to push them, but there's so many other type of great business transactions and outside of work and that come on with it just because of the caliber of people we attract.
Yeah. You may have one other one I was going to ask you next. Like, what was a favorite story you have over the years of some business owner gaining some value? That's certainly a great one. $2 million piece of business, hard to beat.
Yeah, that is. I mean, and then the other funny part is the property and casualty, right? The banker told them, said, here's the deal. We're going to sign a 10-year contract and we're going to buy this building for you. And one of the owners, the dad, called Charlie up and said, Charlie, you're wrong. I have to pay $40 a month. That's all he has to pay. So they're basically split it. They're their tenant, the bank, right? And they're paying off their building.
Wow.
And all that relationship was out of the group that came about.
Wow. It's crazy. Yeah, the magic is crazy. It's crazy. What would you say to a business owner that's thinking about joining Network in Action just in general?
Take a look at it, because I like to, talk a lot about sales. Sometimes somebody will ask me to do some free consulting to help, or speaking on, I don't charge universities and stuff, but somebody will say, hey, will you do a speaking thing for me as sales? I'll do that. So one thing I see is a lot of times the easiest example is business coaches. We have more and more business coaches that this ties in so good with what they do, is that there's, or we have another person that's an attorney, right? And it feeds in. So it's kind of nice how this model kind of fits into a lot of times what you're doing anyway. So you can just monetize a piece of that is really what I think is kind of nice.
Yeah. And what about somebody looking to buy the franchise? What would you say to them?
Oh, absolutely look into it. Because like I said, it's super low expense. That's what I like about it. It's low expense. I won't bore you with all the details, but Scott has a framework worked out how you get restaurants to let you in for free. So you run your meetings and all you do is pay for some drinks, right? So it's a real low cost. I work out of my house. I got to drive to meetings, right? And coffee. So at lunch, everyone buys their own lunch. I buy my, anyway, so super low cost franchise. So anybody's looking for not having a bunch of employees. That's another thing I liked about this is that I just didn't want a bunch of employees. And so if someone does, they do, right? But for me, I thought, I can take care of myself. And so I like that. I'm a solopreneur and low expenses, and it ties right in nice to a lot of times what people are doing already.
Yeah. And I always like to say, inventory, real estate, and employees all keep you tethered right there to your business.
Yep.
And so we don't have any of those three items. It gives you a little freedom. So I love this story. So I've been asking every franchise owner on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how are you able to control your income with this? And I'm going to let you answer, and then I'm going to brag on you a little bit.
Okay. It's really just, it's up to you going out, talking to people and trying to get people to come into the groups. And my big thing is that, I try to sell the groups. A lot of times I used to be kind of like not wanting people to visit the groups, just to sign up, especially if I'm building out a group. Right. But I have pretty good success once a business owner wants to come by, or a banker or something I'm looking for, come by and just visit the group, and it sells itself.
Yeah.
They just say, I want to be right.
He's again being humble here, people, but let me just tell you a quick little story. Last quarter, I was just joking around with Scott, and I said, look, you sold all these members, and he sold a bunch of them in his groups, up there in Boise and Meridian. And I was like, have you gotten complacent with your income? And he didn't answer me, but I challenged him. I said, I tell you what, let's do something fun for all the other franchise owners. Let's set the pace. And so let's just commit to getting 5 new members for 3 months. And the way this started was I saw Scott make a post about how bad he wanted to go to Hawaii. So we tried to figure out what it would cost to bring his 2 beautiful children and his beautiful wife to Hawaii. And he added 15 members in a 3-month period, really more as a gain than the money. I mean, the money probably was nice. It followed, but it was just a little challenge that we had between each other. It was awesome. So you really got the ability, and you've done it for a number of years to really control your schedule. How about the other important piece of what we do? How do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10, waking up every day, that you're making an impact on businesses in Boise and Meridian?
And that's really what I love about it is when I first looked at franchise, my wife, I said, what do you think? She goes, well, you do it anyway. So for me, I was already connecting people, right? That's because I love doing it. So again, all I did was to take a piece of that and I monetized it. So way to make some money at it. And then I had a model for the NAA model to kind of help me kind of, build the model around it. But it's just, for me getting up, it's what I love it because it's what I've always done. Now I make a living at it.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I am super grateful to have you on our team. I'm really proud of your accomplishments and what you've done up there by yourself, started all alone and the only franchise in Idaho. A lot of people think you need a brand, you need a bunch of marketing dollars, and you need a bunch of social media. No, Scott just got out and met people and and talk from his heart. And he's been able to impact a bunch of businesses up there. So I'm going to leave this with the last question. When are you going to Hawaii?
2023.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to hear. Scott, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking time to be on here.
Cool. Hey, I appreciate you on here too, Scott. Appreciate you. Thanks.